What up? Okay, I am on my O2 Banshee. Actually, it's my wife's. But that's not what this is about. This is about me putting those Bilstein shocks right there onto this R107 380sl 1981 Benz. Got it for my wife. Gonna be cute, gonna be fun. And yeah, whole bunch of stuff planned, but here's how you put shocks on a R107 380sl Mercedes Benz.
24-007078 and 24-00511. See, I take this screw out of this hole. And the second one I just took out of this hole. Notice I'm using a more fine tip Phillips head. The broader Phillips head I started with was going to dish out that, and we don't want that. So move those two, and I believe there's a third. Let me, under more visual inspection, I remove that back panel. That's not bad, it's just a little surface rust. And I found that third right, now screw. We have those three screws out. We're gonna go ahead and remove this panel. And I was like pulling on this end to start and didn't want to come out, but if you come around front where this trim is, because this tucks right in that corner, so pull from the bottom up front here, and once that breaks loose, the panel comes out. There's the two hex nuts, and that little stem right there. So I'll show you. We got to pinch that stem while we loosen these two hex nuts. So I have that little stem locked off, and that 17mm Expert Mac tool wrench right there is going to go ahead and help me break loose those hex nuts right there. Let's get at it. Today's the first day I ever went to Harbor Freight and bought something, and they broke because they suck. But I was having the issue with, come on, focus in here. I pinched that with these cheap Harbor Freight pieces of junk. It's chewing it up, right? It's because the top hex bolt was so tight with the bottom one that by just pinching this and trying to rotate this, it wouldn't break free. But when I held the bottom one with the wrench and fit not a deep well, but a short, like a shallow well, 17mm socket over top, boom, top one popped off. And now I can hold more of the stem with these pieces of junk, and I can break the bottom one free. So if you notice now that I have it pinched, sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. It's coming right out. Oh yeah, and a little bit of liquid wrench. Boom, everything's super easy. All right, I'm gonna finish this up and we'll move on. From the upper shock mount, and I wanna show you how this unmolested, all original R107 came. So that awesome spacer I just dropped was on the top. Probably the only thing from Harbor Freight I've liked so far. And then we have the big rubber bushing. Now it's obviously concave, so the narrower side goes to the bottom. You actually have to get into taking the front closeout off of the soft top and hard top lock and roll up mechanism. And things like this kind of make me nervous when I'm working on old cars because they seem to be stuck or glued or break, but I've seen this come off pretty easy online. And let's see what we can do. So this face panel right here is gonna actually lift up and then kind of pop and pull out. So from the back, there's like a little tab. Let's see if I can show you. You see that? That is going to be pushed this way. So you're bringing this way, and the tip of this will pop off and this can come out because it's got like a little lock pivot right in here. What I just did is I reached behind my finger and pushed this little tab out right there. And if you see, those tabs just kind of pressure fit into that spot, so don't worry, it's not that difficult. And then I'm gonna kind of work chewing up and slightly bending. I mean, I can bend it back, but the lip of the convertible top, because the panel wouldn't come out, I came to this front corner with, I know I should be using a trim tool, but I don't have one. So I just came under here, made sure I didn't catch anything, and popped up this corner again, as I told you guys to do in the first place, but I got lazy and didn't do. I just grabbed and ripped. And that's the result. So learn from me being an idiot And don't rush. Ta-da! Okay, same thing on this side. The other side, we're not going to chew up the top of that stem trying to get the bolts broken free. We're going to start with the 17 wrench on the bottom hex and then the short wheel 17 socket up top. Break the top hex nut free, then grab the shaft in its entirety and start hacking at the bottom. And I'm not some OG mechanic here, but little things like the wrench flip, boom. See, that saves you so much time. And those are the things that I pick up from all the old time real mechanics, not the hacks like me, that make life so much easier. So it's just boom, flip it. Rip and flip.
All right, so any of the videos I've seen of people teaching how to do the shocks on like 450s or 560s, they always have a lift. And I'm doing this in my garage at our Salt Lake City property, and I don't have a lift. So I'm curious, can I actually get the shock out? Is there enough room? Let's find out.
Anyway, so because I'm gonna be on my back, I'm finally getting old and wiser and doper like this dude. Look at that stash, bro. Anyway, $2. It's gonna save me just from getting a bunch of crap in my eye. Well, these are made for like a tiny head. Yeah, I have a super fat head. Anyway, wow, look at my steez, bro. You think my steez is about as cool as this guy's? Never. This guy's smashing for sure. So the penetrating oil or spray, whatever I put on there, seems to have done a little bit of a job. I'm gonna start trying to hack away and see if we can get these pulled off. Remarkably light, probably too light of pressure, I was able to get this off. Let's go to the second one and see if we can crank them all the way out and get the sucker pulled out. I just got this loose and look what it's already doing. The bolts dropped. And it seems like the shock's gonna come right on. Wow, look at that. Shock pulled right on out. Boom. On the bottom, same thing. Bushing and spacer, just like on the top, but in reverse. This shock is down. Let's pull it out and take a look. All right, the new shock looks great. A little bit beefier, you know, pretty good compared to the old one. The bottom, give you some fresh hardware. I think it's stainless. New bushings, new washer, and then switching from the double hex nut to this new locking nut. You're gonna work this all the way down. So whereas the double hex, you do the bottom first and then stack the top to keep it in place. They switch to locking nuts, which, you know, whatever. I don't really love these things, actually. Actually, I hate these things. Actually, Bilstein, what in the shit are you doing making a locking nut? Nobody wanted this. The factory didn't make it that way. You guys can just really step your game up. Okay, I'm kidding. Do you notice that these are different washers? And on the bottom, or excuse me, on the bottom of the upper housing, you have the concave. Oh, come on, iPhone. Let's see, there's a little better lighting. There you go. You can see this one's concave, and the one on top is literally just flat. So be sure to stack your concave washer facing downward. And your bushing before throwing it back on up that chute. Take note, you see they're both tapered, but the bigger taper goes on the very top. So we'll save that one for the top, and for now, we'll throw this on that bottom. So one way you know I'm a hack mechanic is I don't have any anti-seize for these. But what I'm gonna do is I got the top of the plunger of the shock pushed up, and I'm gonna go ahead and insert these two bolts as I push it up so that I can lightly tighten them just so that shock doesn't fall back down. These are actually tapered back or bent back. That's because for them to seat properly, they have to be bent a bit to stay flush. So I was trying to put it in this way like an idiot, not looking, and turns out it's gotta go this way. All right, it's tight. Okay, pretty good. Now again, we're back with having to pinch the top of the stem that you push through so it doesn't spin while you tighten the lock nut. And you know, because we're switching from a double hex nut to a single locking nut, the torque specs or nanometers that we need on this locking nut are old man strength, and just work it all the way down. So no torque wrench needed, just crank it like that. That's as far as I can work that sucker down. And
3 screws on this side, and then snap those things shut. Now on this side, I'm gonna come back and I have to put the assembly for the top lever through and stack it back. But I wanna show you, the best way to start with these panel pieces is to get the deep corner up front. And just like taking it off, I learned my lesson, same thing, just get it tucked up under here and everything else kind of just presses and snaps back into place. The top mechanism, notice in this hole, there's a lower gap and then an upper gap. You can see through that panel. And then notice there's those 2 slots. Yep, you guessed it. Oh, just dropped one of the gaskets and I have to get the top plastic gasket, but just pay attention. Is like concave. That's just to fit the inner part of the handle. So we'll just get the handle back on there. So we're gonna take this and you hook it back here, and then you're gonna push it this way as you press in and sink that clip. So let's see if I can do it with one hand. It kind of snaps into place. I'm gonna push it this way, press in. Let's see, do we get it? Hey, look at that. And the top works. My friends, we did it. We got the brand new rear shocks in, the panels put back on. I want to put the carpet in and take it for a ride, then come back and do the front. Yeah. So if there's anything, I would say just don't fight with the door panels, especially on the latch, top latch side. If you would just start at the front, you wouldn't have to deal with forever now having to have that until I fix it. But still, that was so dumb. Look at that. Anyway, live and learn. I'm Drew. This is my wife's new little toy, and you guys aren't paying me for this, so screw off.